Welcome back, everyone, to the Know Your Game podcast. I'm James Hargrove, Communication Director for USIndoor. And today, we're changing it up a little bit. We're bringing in, as our special guest, a very familiar face to many of you, Mark Grossman, who wears several hats when it comes to the sports industry business. And we're going to talk about all three. In fact, today's episode, if you saw in the title, A Life Dedicated to Sport and Those Who Play It. So who better to tap than, of course, our fearless leader, Mark Grossman, who is founder of Monument Sports Group, MSG, founder of SCOR, the Sports Center of Richmond, and our fairly new president and owner of USIndoor. Let's welcome Mark. Mark, how you doing?
Great, James. Glad to be with you.
Great. Now today, again, being slightly different than our usual content, we're going to take a look back, a trip down memory's lane, if you will, and sort of see the genesis and the evolution of Mark's endeavors over the years. So I think it's only fitting we begin with Monument Sport because today, of all days, August 1, happens to be their 25th anniversary. So Mark, could you tell everyone, describe to everyone what got you into this business, of course, Monument being the starting point, and what were some of the initial challenges? What were your expectations going into it? 5 and 10 years into it, were your expectations met? Was it a complete curveball? And what was that whole process like at the beginning?
All right, good. I will try to keep this short, like me. I had been an insurance generalist for 17, 18 years, or really 16, 17 years when I had the idea to develop a sports insurance niche. I saw that there really were no independent insurance agencies. You know, there were big companies like the K&Ks of the world who did sports insurance, but there was no agencies that rolled up their sleeves and really dedicated their practice to it. So with the help of a guy named Alex Deegan, who was a goalkeeper for the Richmond Kickers in the United Soccer Leagues, he helped me come up with the name of Monument Sports. Monument Avenue in Richmond is a famous street, made sense, and developed this concept. So I left the regular insurance world where I was, writing large businesses and, just everything in the general world, and took the leap to create Monument Sports to, provide insurance for professional and amateur sports. I already had a few clients who remain clients to this day, the United Soccer Leagues, USIndoor, to name two, that really were the impetus for getting started. And luckily, I was able to bring them with me to start Monument. I left my other business with my old insurance agency, never to look back. So that, started around August 1 of 2000, with this idea. And, luckily, my intuition was good. The growth of the business helped the growth of Monument. And that's how it started. I think that kind of, really gets to the root of your question. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So would you say that focusing on sport as a niche in the insurance industry, do you think that that was a big contributor to your longevity and your success? Or was it really, really tough and you had to really blood, sweat, and tears to get it to the point where it is today?
Well, kind of a little of both plus. At my core, I am not a worrier, and I'm definitely not a detailed person, but I follow my gut. I follow my vibe. And, I don't believe in mission statements really, but if I had one, it's hire people smarter than me. So in my case, that's not that hard. But I have always surrounded myself with, I had mentioned Alex, but Chris Fox, who, fast forward 25 years, became an owner, but Chris was also playing pro soccer in Richmond, was an academic and soccer All-America at Brown. He came in working part-time and was just brilliant. Like, he had no insurance background, but really took to it. And, we started building this thing, but I started out just, myself and one other person, an assistant in an office. In order to make the transition easier, I actually went to work consulting for a company in New York, helping them build their jewelry business, insurance for big jewelers. So totally out of my area, but it was kind of built on my abilities in building large group programs. So the guy that owned the jewelry company, also owned a pro soccer team in one of my leagues, and said, "Hey, can you do for us what you did for workers' comp in our league?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" So I was able to travel to New York every 3 weeks for 2 nights, 3 days. Had little kids at the time, so there was definitely some hardship, a lot on, my wife to take care of that. And that, unfortunately, that company ended, when September 11 happened.
Mhm.
But interestingly, I was already planning my departure from that company because Monument Sports, to answer your other question, kind of immediately took off. And it was because we were dedicated to sport, had sports people around us where, it helped us get that original foothold.
Great. And for those in our audience who don't know, you yourself have a background in sports, competitive sports. Would you mind
Yeah.
sharing that as humbly as you can?
Um, yeah, I'm so old that, there was no cable TV or any, computers. So all we did was play ball. And whatever the season was, we were playing that. So in high school, I played basketball, you know, uh, football for a while until I, got hit too much. But baseball and soccer were my real loves. Picked up soccer late, but ended up, you know, being, pretty good at it. Had no technical ability. There were no soccer camps in the Richmond area back then. So it was just kind of picking it up. And I ended up luckily getting, back then there really weren't money scholarships, but got a scholarship to play at UNC in 1974.
Okay.
There was one scholarship player my freshman year from the Philly area. But to tell you a funny story, if you want to hear it, I played my entire high school career, led the state in scoring my senior year, but did not know that you could use, anywhere from your shoulders to your knees. I thought I didn't know that you could do that. Our soccer coach was a history teacher. So I went to UNC, and in one of our first scrimmages, this guy used his chest to settle a ball, and I went, "Our ball." And they were like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Oh, you can't do that." So that's still a joke when I run into guys over the years is, "Hey, have you learned how to use your chest yet?" But I was just running around bicycling things in the middle of the field and using my head because I didn't even know that you could do that. So that kind of is a story of how far soccer has come, uh, where now you can't turn around without running into a soccer coach or a soccer trainer. But loved baseball and soccer equally. And just my first job out of college at UNC was with the Washington Diplomats in the North American Soccer League, where I worked for 2 years. Uh, then owned an outdoor roller skating park called Heels on Wheels. So went back to Chapel Hill and ran an outdoor roller skating park for 2 years. Didn't even have insurance. We used waivers. So, it's a kind of a long meandering story of me just doing things and hoping, working hard, but hoping they'll work out. Uh, so that kind of happened. And then after that, moved back to Richmond, kicking and screaming, got into the insurance business for some crazy reason. And that's how it all started.
Now, I know we were going to talk about SCOR, Sports Center of Richmond, last, but I think this is a good segue into, since we're talking about soccer and sports, let's talk about SCOR, your indoor and outdoor facility here in Richmond. What prompted you to start that? Because that's completely different from insurance and it's got its
Yeah.
own issues and can of worms. What instigated that?
So it started with the USIndoor Sports Association and Don Shapiro. So I'll kind of go with that first, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Met Don in 1998 or 99. He was the CFO for the World Indoor Soccer League. And they brought me in to work on the insurance for that league. The commissioner was a fantastic Englishman, soccer player coach named Gordon Jago, who just passed away about 2 months ago. Great guy. So that's where I met Don, and he actually had the idea for USIndoor. So we were at a bar restaurant after a soccer game, and we wrote down, like, we were just kind of going back and forth with ideas. I was writing them on napkins, and that's kind of how USIndoor got its start. So I was there from the beginning, but it was Don's baby. It was Don's idea. So I got involved with that. From there, we developed the U.S. Indoor Sports Soccer Association at that time insurance program. And we wrote our first policy, I believe, in '99. The Epic Center, Mike Weiss, was our first account. And then in that first year, we wrote 11 sport facilities. The business was growing at the same time that Monument was. And so they kind of had the same trajectory. In that time, it was like 2003. At this point, Chris Fox and another buddy of mine who I played adult soccer with was like, there's no indoor sport facilities, soccer facilities in Richmond. You know, people are playing soccer, there's adult leagues. So we started looking for places for a facility because we were living the business every day, and it seemed to make sense that we should look to do something in Richmond. So luckily, through the Department of Economic Development, they found this land for us here. We negotiated to purchase this land where SCOR sits now, and we bought it on the last day of 2004. We opened on December 30 of 2006 in a 30,000 square foot air dome, and that was it. And then, you know, we weren't a bunch of rich guys. You know, we had this idea. We knew kind of working hard, but we worked with Jim Klein, you know, the original consultant in this business. And then, you know, just fast forward all these years later, 17, 18 years later, you know, SCOR is now a 3.5 field indoor and outdoor facility, not, you know, that's done really well and, you know, is a part of Richmond.
Right. And for those watching, toward the end of this podcast, we're going to actually do a tour of SCOR, that kind of rhyme, and MSG, and we'll talk, give you guys some visuals as to what it looks like today, 25, 20 some years beyond the fact. So
Yeah.
going back to US Indoor a little bit, obviously Don Shapiro kind of kicked that off and served as the founder and president for over 2 decades.
Yeah.
And then, of course, as you would expect, he decided to hand off the reins, but not just to anyone, to you. What prompted you to say, you know what, let me guide this chariot further?
Well, Chris and I had always talked, well, not always, as Don wanted to, you know, Don has a lot of talents and abilities and is a really bright guy, you know, and he was looking to do other things. It just became natural for us, Monument Sports, to talk to Don about it because kind of joined at the hip. The US Indoor program, we started together. The growth of US Indoor helps the growth of Monument Sports. But at the same time, you know, Don will admit, and I'll admit, like, we have different personalities. I've never met a stranger. Don was much more comfortable behind the scenes, did a fantastic job building the bones of US Indoor. But it was time for kind of a revitalization. Don did a great job hiring. He hired you, James. He hired Chuck. He hired Mel. So over the years, I was involved, always been on the board, but really more of a friend to Don, confidant. And that's kind of how it happened. So, you know, we talked about it and, you know, for real, I remember I was driving on I-95 going to a meeting north and he called me and he said, I'm ready. So, you know, that was in 22 at some point, or maybe late 21. Chris and I got on the phone and we worked it out with him. So it's been great. I think he got, you know, what he wanted out of it. He knew it had run its course. We knew that there were some things we could do to just boost it, you know, boost you guys, you know, all the, like, not blowing smoke, but you, James, and Chuck and Melanie have done a fantastic job growing the association. As anybody that knows me, I don't do any real work. I talk a lot, and, you know, I'm at 30,000 feet. I'm more vision, you know, and again, depending on people like you, just like at MSG and just like at SCOR, I've got great people around me to run all three of those businesses.
Absolutely. And as we're talking about the three entities that you run, I'm almost imagining a Venn diagram where they all kind of intersect or overlap in certain areas when it comes to their successes. And I think people, not people management, but people selection, getting the right people in, people who appreciate what they do, have a sense of purpose, and as to their longevity. I know firsthand, you don't have a high attrition at any one of your companies. When people come,
Right.
They tend to stick around. And I think that's an attribute to both the leadership and the kind of environment they work in. One other thing I'd like to talk about US Indoor, obviously one of the biggest events that we put on is our annual conference and trade show. And over the years, you've been to almost all of them, or have you been to literally all?
I missed one early on for my nephew's bar mitzvah. Couldn't
Okay,
miss that. Yeah, would
good
have been
reason.
excommunicated from the family. But yeah.
Now, obviously, you've seen how these conferences have sort of evolved over the years, and especially most recently over the past 3 or 4 years. What sort of trajectory are you noticing? Are you happy with how it's changing, developing, and where would you like to see these conference and trade shows go and be in the near future?
Uh, I want to be bigger, not by a lot, but not too big. Um, I love the family aspect of it, and the people that come back year after year after year. They can learn things, of course, but I think it's kind of just to be with your peers and see people in your industry. Like most people that are in this business were or could have been made a lot more money in other businesses, but it's a labor of love. They want to be around people that are entrepreneurial. So I felt like we needed to kind of juice it up and make it so that Las Vegas wasn't the only place where you had a lot of attendees. And I think you've seen, James, that it actually is going up. We followed Vegas, which was our first convention of new ownership, with really good numbers. We went to St. Pete, Florida, because we felt like people needed a break after a long winter season. We had bigger numbers. Then this past year in New Orleans, kind of with our idea of going to great cities where people could have fun, even bigger number, the biggest numbers ever from an attendance and revenue perspective. I'd like to get it to about 500 people. I think is a really good sweet spot by incorporating other sports, but the biggest thing, and you guys have heard me, I believe in blocking and tackling in a lot of ways in the growth of US Indoor. Like, I just think there are a lot of people that are out there. I mean, we bought this thing right after COVID, and people were like, I think I just noticed people in this industry coming out of COVID in the last 6 months because of how busy they were post-COVID. We have been very active with emails. Like, I complain sometimes, like we're just there too much, like, it's just like something every day. But at the same time, we needed to prove our value to both our existing members, but the over 1,000 other sport facilities out there that really don't know what they're missing. I mean, we've got great trade show, really good seminars, keynote speakers, but most people learn something hanging out at the bar, going to dinners together, in the seminars, meeting people and having discussions after. So I just want it to continue to be interactive and not get too big where we kind of lose our special sauce, So, and I think we can get there. This year coming up in Reno, in 26.
That's right.
We'll
Another destination city, and again, somewhat different from Vegas. And in the description for those watching, where would you like to see US Indoor go in the future? Let us know. We have some ideas of where we'd like to take it in 27. Nothing is set in stone. So if you have a place, leave it down in the comments. And if you want to take an extra step, tell us why we should go there. And we'll definitely put it in the bucket of considerations. Now,
yeah. I think that's a good shout out, James. People love different things about the conference. They love the bus tours sometimes. They love playing golf, depending on where it is, or gambling, and again, but one of the things, we have a really good active board. We're getting ready to make some board changes just because, people get tired after 3 years and, that kind of thing. But one of the ideas that we've come up with, and James, I don't know if you were going to talk about this, in order to build more of a buzz, more of an excitement, but also to get our value out in front of people, it's not an insignificant amount of money or time to come to a US Indoor conference. We are really appreciative of the people that do it. And I know for a fact that you can make a lot more than what you're spending by attending. But you still have to get people to take that leap and bring younger people that work for you. So we have just started with some regional one-day events. The first was in the Richmond area. The next one coming up is in Grand Rapids. We kind of want to take US Indoor to the people in a smaller way so that they can see the value, and also be able to bring a lot more staff. Because as I said, to bring 10 people to New Orleans or Vegas is not cheap. So we do a lot at the conference with meals and drinks and sponsors to try to keep the cost as low as possible. We have a meeting coordinator who negotiates great rates with hotels. So anyway, we're trying to do everything we can to kind of fight everything that's going on in this country right now with rising prices, by kind of taking it in the opposite direction.
Got you. And as we talk about, as you mentioned earlier, the sports that comprise everything that we focus on and do, there are some fast growing sports out there. I guess the elephant in the room is pickleball. Over the past 2 or 3 years, we've seen a steep incline in people interested in pickleball. Obviously, you've probably noticed the same trend. Are there other sports out there that are lateral or completely different from racket sports that you see taking that same trajectory?
Maybe not the same trajectory because that's rocket fueled right now, but paddle or padel, depending on who you're talking to, is another racket sport that's going to have tremendous growth in this country. And of course, at US Indoor, we've reached out to them because guess what? It doesn't matter what sport you are. You need lighting, possibly netting, software, management systems. So you might have a different sport, but everybody can take advantage. Like one of the things we've rolled out is an incredible merchandise program, T-shirts, where we're saving people thousands of dollars with our proprietary vendor for US Indoor. So shameless plug there for that. But that alone is worth the price of admission if you're doing T-shirts or jerseys or other types of gear for your sport. Trampoline years ago was really hot, but a totally different culture. Climbing, indoor climbing, the CWA, Climbing Wall Association, is a huge association, but again, a different culture. Like we visited climbing gyms on our bus tours, but back to the blocking and tackling, I think there are a lot of people out there, Parks and Rec, especially, who have not taken advantage of everything that US Indoor has to offer. And Chuck and you specifically do a great job with content, like seminars, speakers. We have a revamped referee program. So again, it doesn't matter whether it's soccer, lacrosse, field hockey, whatever it is. Referees need some basic skills on how to deal not only with players, but parents. I think one of the great things about indoor soccer, the boarded variety of indoor soccer, is kids cannot hear their parents. Because, that's some of the biggest problems. The only time at SCOR, kind of bouncing back and forth, our general manager at the time, and we've only had 2 general managers in 17 years, but Tim, they never really asked me to do much in the day-to-day, but one of them was I needed to wear my SCOR owner shirt and stand between 2 groups of parents that had had a brawl 3 weeks prior. And they were on probation over their kids' high school soccer game in a recreation league. Just all sounds ridiculous, right? But referees are your eyes and ears, and they're an important part of US Indoor. We had a guy named Saeed Sanouri who was a big-time famous indoor soccer referee who ran our programs forever until he retired. So we wouldn't be where we are without him. But Melanie has really grabbed that program and energized it. Once again, kind of utilizing virtual learning versus having to depend on in-person training and flying people all over the place. So, trying to protect, our bottom line, but at the same time, make it more affordable and accessible for people.
Absolutely. And in the description for everyone watching, I'm going to link some of the things we're talking about, like MSG's exclusive insurance program for our US Indoor members. I'll put a link there so you can be navigated directly to the landing page. Likewise, the T-shirt deal that Mark just mentioned, I'll put a link there. So for our members, you can type in your code and get that very favorable discount on bulk order tees and pennies and whatnot. And thirdly, of course, we'll put a link to next year's conference for those who want to get that early bird rate, want to jump on that and get to the show, get your tickets for the show. And as we move into, I guess, the final chapter of this podcast, let's talk about the Sports Center of Richmond. Now, rock climbing is a part of what you do, indoor, outdoor soccer fields. I know you got is that a dome outside?
It's actually a big carport. It's a covered field. It originally, so just to kind of give you the progression, as I mentioned, we started with a dome that was about 31,000 square feet. A year later, we built an outdoor boarded field. Didn't realize that having glass on an outdoor field in the summertime was going to burn the rubber infill in the corners, the prism. So we learned a lot along the way. Like being in insurance, you would think we had seen it all. We had not seen it all. So we kind of, and in 2012, we built a 21,000 square foot building that now houses our tenant, Peak Experiences Climbing Gym. But that was where we had our second full field, 180 by 80 boarded field, and then a small field. We actually, after our dome collapsed under ice and snow in 2016, we built a 50,000 square foot building. We're going to do the tour later. We actually put a cover over our outdoor field at that same time. And that is my favorite thing. We'll go out there, but kids can be outside, not in air conditioning, but in the shade in 100-degree. And, you know, we have adult games at night. It's fantastic. So that's kind of one of my favorite things here at SCOR. You know, at Monument Sports, having our offices here, it's really kind of an incubator, a sports incubator, where our general manager, Tyler, and our people can come and speak to Rebecca or Jacob or people about insurance issues, certificates of insurance, potential claim or incidents. So really, when you talk about that, I think you said a Venn diagram. What did you say? Yeah, I was terrible in math, but this is kind of where it all comes together, where people can ask questions, and you know, we try to be that for our clients wherever they are.
Right. And I guess as a final major question, and I think this is probably pretty important or interesting to audience members who are looking to improve their situation, to grow beyond their current barriers. Obviously, you have been successfully managing and operating 3 major endeavors. What can you tell the younger folks out there with that entrepreneurial spirit who sort of hit the wall, or maybe they've just plateaued in terms of their enthusiasm and productivity? People get burnt out just doing one thing. What would you say has been your guiding light or principle, dare I say, hat trick that allowed you to be able to manage not just one, but 3 entities? What kept you going all these years?
Number one, have an amazing, hardworking, understanding wife in Eileen, who is a USIndoor employee, a SCOR employee, and she also, you know, is a Airbnb superhost. So, you know, kind of lucky to find somebody who was an engineer, totally different brain than me, but who always allowed me to do my thing and chase this. So that's number one. So that was lucky. And then back to the hiring people smarter. I am not, as you know, I am not a micromanager. I find the right people and I let them roll and make their mistakes and learn from them and, you know, watch them grow. As you said, you know, we may not be the highest paying people in the world, but our, you know, employee attrition is very low. It's kind of the same for Monument Sports. Our retention ratio in our business is very high. So like when we get clients, we typically keep them for a very long time. When we go after or when we're approached, our hit ratio is high because this is all we do. It's back to the niche of like, we don't dabble in anything other than sports and recreation and entertainment, insurance, right? So it's kind of the same thing. I want all the companies being there for them and providing something that others don't. It's tougher these days. You know, interest rates are higher. It's volatile. So if you're entrepreneurial and you want to open a sport facility, don't quit your day job until you've done all your due diligence. Also, this is a plug for all the consultants out there. As much as I knew about the business, and I knew a lot, I didn't know what I didn't know. So I hired a consultant. We have people that are software geniuses and IT people and attorneys. And they get into this business and they have no idea what's going on. They think they can do it on their own, but it's better to spend the money early and get a consultant and get help, regardless of who the consultant is. You should talk to them all, than to need one 3 years down the road when nobody's playing at your facility and you're sucking wind, and not struggling to make payroll or a mortgage payment. So this is its own business. It's not, just because you've done something else doesn't mean you can do it. But again, I love seeing people, I'm a big believer in do what you love and the money will follow.
Absolutely.
And, it's kind of how I live it. But yeah, I talked to a lot of people. Everybody here at Monument over the years has talked to a lot of people from the infancy of the idea to building it and then eventually selling it. So we're involved, first shovel in the ground or before.
Absolutely. Now, as we get to the end, not the official end of this podcast, because obviously we're going to be showing you guys a tour of MSG and of SCOR facility as sort of a different version of the podcast. But we'd like to thank Mark for sitting down with us and just sharing his experience. For those who don't know, Mark, how can someone best reach you, whether it's talking about insurance, talking about USIndoor, our conference, or maybe those nearby would like to visit SCOR? What's the best way to reach out to you?
If you want to share my email, you can do that. Call on our website. As a matter of fact, Monument Sports is rolling out a brand new website after 25 years. It was past time, but you can do that. I'm on LinkedIn. Unfortunately, you can find me almost anywhere.
Right.
Like to play golf, like to walk the dogs, like to travel some. So always available, happy to talk to people, who have an idea. And yeah, just, trying to help.
Fantastic. Well, thanks everyone. Stay tuned as we do the tour. And again, we want to thank Mark for those joining the conference next year in Reno. Obviously, you'll be able to meet Mark in person. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you all at the show and on to the tour.
Thanks, James.
You ready? All right, everyone, we're outside of SCOR with Mark Grossman, and he's going to give us a guided tour of his facility. We're going to start with the outside here. Mark, can you tell us about SCOR? What kind of square foot are we talking about, and what sort of buildings and structures can we expect to see on this tour?
All right, good. And Leif, as our intern, I don't want him to get run over by the guy backing out here. So that's part of the risk management services offered by the Monument Sports Group. So SCOR is built on 8 acres in Richmond, right off of I-95, 64. This blue building is 50,000 square feet. The outdoor field that we'll go to at some point is 15,000 square feet. But overall, we're about 150,000 square foot facility.
Wonderful. All right, let's go take a look inside. All right, here we are inside SCOR. Mark, take us away and show us what we need to see.
All right, well, first of all, we have a very special guest. We brought Leo in for this podcast. Nice to have you here. It's a real pleasure. This is the entry to SCOR, Sports Center of Richmond. This is the 50,000 square foot building that we built in 2017. I think most importantly, James, you and I talked about it, our staff, the people that are family to us. The leading man is our general manager, Tyler Pardue. Tyler started with us when you were, 24? 24 as our little kickers coordinator, and has been our general manager now for 9-10 years. So anyway, he and his entire family have grown up here, and when I'm long gone, they'll still be playing soccer and doing stuff here. So this is again one of the many things we do. We offer camps, birthday parties, events. So here's our 2 big inflatables that are being deflated as we speak. But they're used a lot. Want to make sure we always have a staff member there, along with parents and kids, to make sure it's safe. But those have been really good for us.
Okay.
And as we continue to walk around, we have 2.5 boarded fields in here. We believe in the boarded game here at SCOR because it keeps the ball in play. A lot of people, are using this as exercise, so you don't have a lot of stops and starts with the boarded game. A lot of facilities, nothing wrong with it, you play touchline soccer, so they have to stop, kick it in, touch it, then start again. But we like this, so I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, Lee, go ahead and
Yeah.
show them what the courts look like here.
So we have camps going on right now. Wonderful interns, including our cameraman. But yeah, so camp season, especially post-COVID, really took off for us. And we try to make it really easy on people with half day, full day, but also there we do like single days and walk-ins. It makes it a little more difficult on our staff to know how many people to have here. But yeah, camps have done great year-round. And a lot of it's due to, kids like this that, work for us. And, we've got junior campers. We even have Leif, what's the kid's name? He started here when he was 2 or 3 years old, and now he's one of our coaches.
Tommy?
Yeah, Tommy.
Yeah.
So that really helps kind of the whole thing. I always say, like, people ask me what I like most about SCOR. We had a couple who met playing co-ed soccer on one of our house teams. They ended up getting engaged. They got married. They had their reception here where they drank way too much, played soccer, had quite a few injuries, and then that was it. But they now have kids. They continue to play here, but they have kids in Little Kickers, our Friday Night All-Stars program. So that's what I like, is seeing everybody kind of come through here and continue to have their families.
Absolutely. And let's take a look at the birthday party section. Obviously, there's something happening right now, so we can see we have some young ones enjoying the space.
And this is summer camp.
Summer camp. Okay.
Yeah, right. But yeah, the birthdays, we have the birthday wall. So Sherry, who you're going to see in a second, when she's not picking up Chick-fil-A and pizza, is our Little Kicker youth coordinator. But she's done everything here. So if you want to look at Sherry, we can walk over there. So Sherry is our coordinator, Tyler's sister. When we talk about SCOR being a family, she's the glue here. Hopefully we'll run into her dad, Ray, who is our facilities director. But Sherry's kids have worked here, play here. Tyler's kids, same way. Even Ray played here as one of our guest goalkeepers, one of the greatest moments in SCOR history. Tyler can tell you that story when you do a podcast with him.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
We'll put them in the pipeline.
So we were outside, the blue building that we built in 17. We actually, as we discussed, James, we had an air dome that collapsed under weight of ice and snow in 2016.
Yep.
So we're actually getting ready to walk outside. We green spaced this area when we did this renovation. Where we're standing now, we're calling it a connector building. And this used to be outside. You would enter the dome, then you would walk outside again to go to our new building that we built in 2012. So let's check it out. So our facility director, Ray, will get mad at us if we walk in the grass, so we're gonna do that. So this year we had a concert out here, but we wanted to, I'm a tree hugger, so I wanted to make sure, contributed as little to a carbon footprint as possible. So we green spaced this, planted trees. This is all back in 17. Okay. So it's just a great area. I know Leif will tell you the kids love it for camps. This white building is the building we built in 2012. And the sidewalk used to be the connector to the buildings, outdoors. So when we built this building, we moved the full soccer field, boards and everything into the new building. And Peak Experiences is a 21,500 square foot climbing gym. I don't know if you want to see it or not.
Yeah, let's take a look.
You want to walk this way?
Absolutely.
So we're inside Peak Experiences. They've been in the Richmond area over 25 years. They had their other location, their original location is on the other side of town. But they took over this in 2017, 21,500 square feet, full service climbing gym, bouldering, rope climbing, autobelays. They're amazing. They run a camp in the city called Passages. That's been around forever and services a lot of town, kayaking, all different kinds of stuff. So they do a tremendous job. Leif, I don't know if you want to look over here. This is the end of our brick building. We're standing, used to be outside. There was a train track that went through here.
Oh, really?
And we actually renovated the building. Those are the original doors. This building was built in 1954. So,
And was this a train station?
nope, it was built as a parking meter repair facility.
Okay.
So those tracks up there that we cut off connected to two hoists. One of them still in Eileen's office, and they did parking meter repair. But when we bought it, there was no. The only thing that was here was a city school bus parking lot.
Cool.
So we just kind of built on. Again, we wanted to reuse everything. But yeah, Peak is great. They do a fantastic job. So totally different risk management issues with climbing, and that's part of our CWA program that I mentioned. Okay, we are in turfs. When we moved Monument Sports offices here in 2008, we did a full renovation of this brick building. So this brick building is 22,000 square feet. When we bought it, there was no HVAC, nothing. All the doors were green, roll-up wooden doors. So we did a full renovation. We reconditioned those doors.
And what you folks are seeing is sort of the opposite side of what we showed earlier. Those original doors obviously been painted, restored somewhat,
Yep.
but pretty cool.
Yep, so we've had parties in here, doing a lot of game watch parties for World Cup. So it's active at night. We have probably should talk about River City Sport and Social Club. When we first announced that we were going to open SCOR, they were the first people to contact us, and they're still with us to this day, playing dodgeball, kickball, wiffle ball, drinking beer. They have different level of leagues just like we do at SCOR. They'll have competitive, social, and super social. And I always joke that super social, you essentially have to have a beer in your hand while you're throwing. That's right, in order to play. But it's mainly just people meeting, getting to meet each other and stuff like that. But this has been really good. Again, we use all recycled materials in the building of everything here. So that's what we did. So we find people, like a lot of people actually played soccer here, and that's how we met them. People that did recycle just wood and different types of materials. So we kind of value engineered everything and kept it. So we're walking from turfs into office areas, and again, there was no there was nothing in here. So now their offices, SCOR's office is here. We're actually getting ready to do an office here, Lath, if you want to look in here. And we're going to turn this into a gather kind of workspace. So we do a lot of corporate events here, so they'll be able to use it for meetings with a conference room. And then we can just use it for people like you if you want to come and work out here.
Absolutely.
Do you want to see the whole thing?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Okay. This is our disco dance room.
/ art gallery.
Yeah. So when the dome collapsed, that kind of changed our business model. And you'll see when we go into the other room, a lot of the stuff that we did in the dome, we moved up here. So we now utilize more of the space. So this art you see was from, it's paint and sip nights that, we've had here. But when the dome collapsed, we kind of moved party stuff up here, and then, we'll have those kind of parties. And here, when we first bought it, the only thing other than the bus office was a boxing gym called Citywide Boxing. And it was an old school boxing gym.
Now, I must admit, this is my first time seeing this area.
So we renovated this for two women that started a soccer training company called Evolve. And they're still very good friends, but they've gone in different directions. One of them does soccer training for girls only. And then the other woman does co-ed training, but getting people ready for college, professional sports. So we helped them renovate this space. And they're actually, one of the women was just named the head women's soccer coach at VCU. So she is going to be doing that, and they're going to phase out of this a little bit more. So this is another opportunity for space, that we may use, for everything from people that want to do movies to event space.
Right.
But yeah, they're great. They do.
You can have a
fantastic.
dance class here.
We do everything.
There's some equipment over here, Lady, if you want to capture it. You could have you could weight train.
Yep,
and this equipment.
Yep, this is in support of their athletes, so they, get them ready for college, pro, youth training. I mean, they both have people coming from, in some cases, all over the country to train. She's very well known.
Awesome.
Yeah. We'll go out here. So we just have done a really good job of utilizing every inch of this place.
Yeah, I can tell. I mean, as we transition over to what appears to be a birthday venue, or where you conduct most, if not many, of your birthday parties. And then,
So what I was saying, when the dome collapsed, this area over here at one time was a speed and conditioning business
okay.
for training of athletes. But he moved to a larger facility. It was also really loud in here when they were here. So we started having more offices. So once again, there were no windows in here. Everything was like a really small window. So I have a good friend in town who does renovations. He was kind of the vision for this place. So we do, like we had our 50th high school reunion, one of the night parties here.
Sure.
So we do a lot of, bar mitzvahs, quinceañeras, events. I want to show you this mural over here because shameless plug for my son, who's an artist photographer. So this over here is actually in progress.
Right.
But he learned murals by helping out the murals on the outside of our building that we may see later in this.
And what's your son's name?
His name, Michael Grossman.
Does he have an Instagram?
He does.
I'll put it on the screen for everyone.
Yes, but he loves doing, he'll do commission art for, of your pets. Loves doing pets, but he also he does like fantastic art. He's,
I've seen a few of them.
Yeah,
They're awesome.
He's not a great business person, but most artists are not.
But we're going to try to get him some business.
Yeah, right.
They say all the great artists get popular after they're dead.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that one.
Exactly.
Yeah, but he did that one over there.
Oh, there you go.
And then, of course, Danny Rojas here behind us. Okay. All right, and then we're going to enter the not-so-palatial offices of the Monument Sports Group. There's the sign, Leif. Monument Sports Group. Okay. Again, this was, when we bought it, this was the only existing office here, and it was the Department of Pupil Transportation.
Okay.
So we've renovated it since then and created. We have a lot of people that work hybrid since COVID again. Some people work at home, a lot of people here. I personally, I do both. I like coming in, just being around people.
Me too.
Yeah, that kind of thing. But we've done renovations, added a kitchen, different departments here, and that is it. You want to walk outside? The murals that you see, a lot of people may not recognize. Hank Greenberg was a famous Detroit Tiger. Jackie Robinson, of course. But this mural project was part of the World 2015 bicycle race that came to Richmond. And the city did this thing called the Welcoming Walls Project. So we were part of that. What's interesting, there was a Diners, Drive-In, and Dives episode where they were here at ZZQ. And we didn't even know they were here, but they took a picture. They filmed this first. Okay. We're in Richmond, Virginia, and didn't even give us props. But anyway, you can kind of look at the mural as we go along here.
And Lake, if you want, show everyone how close to the highway we are. Major thoroughfare running through Richmond.
Yep. So here, the mural's here, and then around the other side. But I think if you want to look downtown with the outdoor field, this is what we were talking about, which is one of my favorite things. This used to be uncovered, but Leif will tell you, we can have games, other than lightning, play through all weather, wintertime. Everybody gets one outdoor game as part of an 8-game session. Okay. You could have good weather in the winter or bad weather, but people are playing, so they don't care. But yeah, it's under the lights at night. It's fantastic here, with the highway here. But it's just really cool. We'll walk this way.
Let's take a look at those fields.
So Michael actually, this was his part over here on the left. But the two artists are a guy named Ed Trask and Michael Groth, who are kind of world-renowned artists, muralists, regular artists. So yeah, this area, we would just, again, we call SCOR a sports campus. It's kind of how we've advertised it, branded it. But again, people using all areas of this place.
And you said this was roughly 50,000 square
This
feet?
is 15,000.
Oh, sorry, 15,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you want to look that way, as we go in, the blue building is 50,000 square feet.
Okay, gotcha.
This is the little connector building.
Yep.
The brick building is 22,000 square feet, and the white building that we were in, where Peak Experiences is, thank you, is about 21,000 square feet.
And what kind of turf are we talking here?
So this is rubber infill turf. We've used, all of the USIndoor vendors with turf, or most of them. But again, this is my favorite thing, and of course, you're going to look up at some point. But at night, this is under the lights. You drive by here, and kind of like a Broadway show. I mean, you can just see everything going on. But this is a 180 by 80 turf field, the same exact size as our other two large fields, So we're a 3.5 field facility. Our mini field is an 80 by 50, where we run 4v4 leagues and little kids programs. So I think you have seen all of this place. Sportable has been with us for a very long time. They're an adaptive sports organization. They have their own 3,500 square feet for wheelchair athletes, kids, vets. So, our thing, kind of in closing for me, was we wanted to have the for-profit company SCOR, but also be a place where not-for-profits could have their offices and, have a place to be. So
Great.
we feel like we've kind of been true to that, guiding principle.
So for all of you, if you're in the Richmond area, again, you'll see the address on your screen. Swing by and visit SCOR, whether you plan on playing, hanging out, meeting Mark, or what have you.
Or Lath.
Or Lath, our
for
fearless.
another 2 weeks.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you.